Imagine learning as a performance. It can be a concert where the notes of knowledge resonate in harmony and captivate the mind. We can compare effective studying to a Vivaldi concert versus ineffective studying to a concert of a 5-year-old who just started playing the violin. And the first question is, where does learning occur in our brain? There is a specific point called hippocampus, specific structure, which is responsible for learning, memory, and cognition. It is also responsible for transferring short-term memory to long-term memory. And in case when it's damaged, the patients cannot remember, for example, what they did a few seconds ago, but they do remember the things they did when they were children. And we can take care of our hippocampus by maintaining a healthy diet and exercising both mentally and physically. Because when we exercise our brain, we prevent neural pruning, which is the removal of neurons that are not used. And we can, by exercising, we can also form new neural connections and new synapses. There are several study techniques which are considered as the effective ones. And the first one is the Feynman technique, which basically is explaining the concept we have learned to a 5-year-old. It doesn't have to be a 5-year-old, it can be just a toy you have in your room or a wall. But when you can explain the concept in basic words, it means that you really understand the concept. The second technique is the blurting method. And the blurting method means that you basically write everything you remember from a study session. So, for example, let's say you have just learned the cell cycle. You think about it for a few minutes, few hours, 1-2 days as you want, and then you try to write as many things as you remember on a blank paper. Next, we have spaced repetition, and it's not exactly a study technique, however, it's more like a planning technique. And you can see on the graph that when we review things in a sequence, we enhance the retention. We enhance the retention. So, for example, one of the methods is 2-3-5-7. It means that when you learn the concept, you review it after 2, 3, 5, and 7 days, and then your memory becomes more effective. Then we have another concept, which is called SMART goals. So the goals can be specific, which stands for S. S stands for specific. So, for example, instead of just saying, I want to learn mathematics, you can say, I want to learn calculus in mathematics or a specific topic in calculus. M stands for measurable. So, for example, we can say, I want to pass a practice test with 80 points out of 100. A stands for achievable, because it's okay to aim high, however, we should know our limits. So, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious what does achievable mean. Then we have R, which stands for relevant. So, for example, if you want to pursue a career in medicine, you should focus on topics like, on subjects like biology, chemistry, or mathematics. And T stands for time-bound, because it's good to set deadlines, and we all know what does procrastination mean. So to avoid procrastination, we can set specific deadlines. Mindset is everything. It is important to work on our mindset, and we can do it, for example, by embracing challenges, because it's easy to do just the easiest questions from our book, but it's important to challenge ourselves. And when we challenge ourselves, sometimes we get a negative feedback, and we can take it as a personal failure. However, we can also take it as a point to improve, and we can use this feedback from our peers, teachers, or just our self-assessment as a point and room to improve. Then we can also we should also think that effort is more important than the outcome. So, for example, if you have studied for 2 weeks for the test, you should remember about the progress you made, even though your grade will not be as perfect as you thought while writing the test. And understanding is more important than memorization. So, for example, if you learn the whole Krebs or Calvin cycle in cells, but you don't understand it, it will be very hard for you to explain it on the test, meaning that you will not be able to score as good grades as you thought while studying it. The same is in mathematics. It is important why some sequences occur as they do, not just how to put the numbers in order to get this result. And there are some techniques how to make study sessions more pleasant and more effective. The first thing is to create your study environment. So, for example, some people prefer to study in the libraries, some do this in the cafes, and some people study in their bedrooms. And it's up to you to decide. And you shouldn't look only at TikTok or Instagram because it's your study sessions. So create a cozy study environment with water, with all notebooks and all things you need in order to just study for 30, 60 minutes without getting up to take something. Then it's important to remove distractions. So, for example, put your phone in Do Not Disturb mode and create a schedule for your studying. And it's also important to decide whether you're a person who prefers to study in morning or in the evening, and you should test it for 1 to 3 weeks as you wish, because our brains have different times when they focus the most, so it's important just to find this time. Another important tip is to manage time wisely. So, for example, when you're very tired, you shouldn't study for 8 or 10 hours because you won't be able to remember anything. And there are some techniques which are not very effective, and maybe you remember or you know Kay Chang from TikTok. She's the dental student who studies for 10, 12 hours every day because she has finals every second day. And she does cramming. It is learning a lot of stuff in 1-2 days. And it may be effective for your test. However, if you want to recall this information after 1-2 weeks, you won't be able to remember anything. Then, you shouldn't highlight everything, because when you highlight everything, it's not as productive as it seems. Highlighting can be good, but only when you highlight 3-4 keywords on every page. And then passive reviews. I think you have heard something like read this topic a few times and you will be able to recall it. However, it is not as effective as, for example, blurting or Feynman technique. And yes, that's it. I hope you enjoyed my small little tips, and thank you so much for your attention.